On that matter, during the recent debate on sedevacantism, after I said that Francis's statement that Lutherans follow the true faith of Jesus is manifest heresy, which it is, Michael Lofton made the following comment, quote, "Manifest heresy is not a way to describe a statement, but is a way to describe a person. We already have an inaccurate way of using terms," end quote. So while the debate was ongoing, Michael Lofton rather arrogantly claimed that it's wrong for me to describe a statement as manifest heresy. According to him, that term only properly describes a person. Well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He suffers from category confusion. Here is St. Robert Bellarmine using the very term manifest heresy just as I did to describe an error or statement which expressly contradicts the gospel. Here's the Latin text. Also note that this passage from Bellarmine is not found in the English translation produced by Ryan Grant, which some people use. It was omitted, apparently by mistake, but it is found in Bellarmine's Latin work. Notice the exact term manifest heresy. In this passage, the word errorem and the term manifestam heresim are in the same case, the accusative case, because in context, Bellarmine connects the word error with the term manifest heresy. Bellarmine presupposes that certain errors or statements are properly termed manifest heresy, directly contrary to Michael Lofton. This is from Book 4, Chapter 12 on the Roman Pontiff, and the translation is, quote, "Neither can it be said that this error of Gregory is manifest heresy against the gospel, for Gregory did not teach that a wife can be divorced and another woman can be taken in marriage, which is expressly contrary to the gospel and the law of nature," end quote. Although Bellarmine says that this particular error of Gregory was not manifest heresy, he clearly presupposes that some errors are properly termed manifest heresy because they are expressly contrary to the gospel or Catholic dogma. In the very next sentence, he gives an example of what is expressly contrary to the gospel and thus manifestly heretical. So Bellarmine uses the term manifest heresy just as I did to describe a false position or statement or error that's expressly opposed to the gospel or dogmatic truth. Michael Lofton is completely wrong, which should not be a surprise. And when you make arrogant claims like he did in an attempt to discredit someone and you are totally wrong, as he is, you show that you don't have credibility. There are so many similar false claims and statements that Michael Lofton arrogantly makes that I could perhaps go on for hours refuting them. When it comes to these matters, that is, controversies about the Vatican II sect, the salvation dogma, etc., Trent Horn, Michael Lofton, and Reason and Theology have no credibility. They are completely unreliable, as we've proven in this video. They make lots of false claims that they can't back up, and they will lead you astray. Also, in On the Church Militant, Chapter 16, Bellarmine uses almost the exact same term in the same way. He refers to people who openly leave the church through the manifest profession of heresy. Thus, he again uses the word manifest to describe the error or position expressed. Even when you think about it logically, Michael Lofton's claim is shown to be baseless. The term heretic describes the individual. The term heresy describes the false position or belief or statement which the individual accepts or promotes. Heresy is therefore a way to describe a statement, and when a statement is expressly contrary to basic gospel truth or obvious dogmatic teaching, it is properly termed manifest heresy, as we see in Bellarmine and as I correctly used the term. Francis's position that it's illicit and wrong to try to convince people of the faith is expressly contrary to the gospel and thus manifestly heretical. It's a rejection of what the church has always believed and preached, and it's obviously also a denial of the dogma outside the church, there is no salvation. It's also contrary to the Council of Trent in regard to those baptized into the church as infants, as we've shown. Francis's heresy on this matter by itself proves that he's a notorious heretic who preaches a false gospel and is not the Pope. Now, what people need to realize is that Michael Lofton is a neophyte even to the Vatican II sect. He returned to the Vatican II sect in late 2019. He hasn't even claimed to be Catholic for more than 3 years. He's changed his religion repeatedly. He was Jewish, then Charismatic Protestant, Reformed Protestant, then he became part of the Vatican II sect. Then he abandoned that in 2016 after Amoris Laetitia came out and became Eastern Orthodox. Then he fell away from that and entered the Vatican II sect in late 2019. And even when he started his channel a few years ago, he was promoting anti-Catholic heresies and Eastern Orthodoxy in various ways. In fact, here's what Michael Lofton said in 2020, just a few years ago, while he claimed to be Catholic, about the notorious anti-Catholic James White.
I greatly admire and appreciate Dr. White and much of what he does. I know that many Catholic and Orthodox have mixed feelings about Dr. White. I think he's great overall.
Frankly, that's just a satanic statement. I believe that Michael Lofton made it, even though he claimed to be Catholic at the time, because he wanted to have James White on his program or he wanted James White to mention him. That tells you a lot about Michael Lofton's character and why people like him are not graced with the true faith. Also, if you are familiar with Michael Lofton, definitely watch our video called Does the Catholic Church Condemn All the Circumcised? It exposes Lofton's shocking errors and heretical statements about the Council of Florence and his failure to make proper distinctions.
But, as some rightly note, it does say some things about circumcision that don't fit.
In fact, he promotes heresies on a variety of topics. He's an astounding modernist heretic. It's sad that anyone looks to him as a reliable guide on these matters. He's definitely not. In fact, this year, 2022, within the last few months, Michael Lofton posted the following heresy against Catholic dogma on the Eucharist. Lofton stated, quote, "The Catholic view is not that we literally eat Christ's flesh in the Eucharist. The view is we truly and sacramentally eat his flesh," end quote. Lofton thought that sacramental reception of the Eucharist means that Christ's flesh is not literally eaten, but he's totally wrong. Sacramental reception and literal reception of the Eucharist are not mutually exclusive. What Lofton posted is actually heresy. It's a denial of defined Catholic dogma and a rejection of the teaching of Scripture on the Eucharist. Christ's flesh is literally consumed in the Eucharist. As John 6:55 says, "For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed." Lofton was corrected for his heresy by a number of people online who, unlike him, know what the Catholic Church teaches on the Eucharist.